Hey guys, how the hell are you? Time for a new iFAQ video. Infrequently asked questions. That's right. If you just can't contain yourself and you have to let it out, you have to ask me personal info or how I feel about this, how I feel about that. This is your forum. So feel free to drop those questions in the comment section below. You might just see a question answered in an upcoming video. Like this guy. What do you think about Kiiras instruments? So firstly, I really hope that I pronounced that right. I have not really had any sort of first-hand experience with that brand, and I really would like to, because everything about that seems like it would be right up my alley. Something that is super rugged looking, totally looks like a metal as fuck instrument. So I don't know, man, it's just every time I look at those things I just get visions of like all these awesome Finnish mellow death bands. But I really wanted to try them. I think that they look super cool, and if the quality of the instrument building is anywhere near the same level as the aesthetics, it's bound to be a kick-ass instrument. What's the absolute worst guitar you have ever played? So if you asked me to pick one single solitary instrument that is the absolute worst I've ever played, I'll be honest, I don't think I really could. I think that there's been so much garbage that I've played over the years that it's really tough to pick just one. But if I can maybe specifically pick out a particular category of instrument, I would call out the ones that I like to call the pawn shop mainstays. Talking about like the old junky department store guitars, the stuff like the Dan Electros, the old Supro stuff, Tiesco Del Rey's, K's, Harmonies, all this weird shit that just kind of pops up in every pawn shop and secondhand store around the country. And these things, you know, I don't jive with them at all. I get nothing out of them whatsoever, and it becomes painfully obvious if you put one in my hand. I don't like how they feel, I don't like how they play, and granted, these things were made, you know, decades upon decades ago without any sort of inkling that, you know, they were going to get tossed around from owner to owner to owner in all these secondhand stores, and obviously they are totally not the kind of guitar for a player like me, and it becomes even more obvious when I actually try to play one. I can't stand those things. Hey Arnold, love the content you produce. Do you have a favorite Devin Townsend album? Keep up the awesome videos. Wow, there's a question. So, oh god, do I? You know, if anything, I would probably say Transcendence, the last record the Devin Townsend Project put out, was probably definitely my favorite. I just felt like it was kind of the culmination of all this great killer music that DTP had been putting out, and just building up and building up and building up into this super monumental and epic album. I love that record. I think there's so many great elements. Every single song on there is really awesome. There's no filler material to be found on that record. And I also like how there's the occasional song here or there that, even for as eclectic and sometimes eccentric of an artist as Devin Townsend is, there's a song like Offer Your Light, which totally is not something you would picture him doing. To me, that song sounds like a Sonic Syndicate song. Remember those guys? That's what that tune reminds me of, and it's so cool to hear Devin and the guys take on that kind of style and just nail it, blow it out of the water. So yeah, Transcendence is definitely the one that I would say is my favorite, to be honest. If you had an opportunity to make working in the guitar industry your full-time job, depending on what you're offered to do, would you take the opportunity? Yes, but there's a lot of variables in play with that. So, with my day job, I've kind of worked my way up to a point in retail where, not gonna lie, my salary is kind of prohibitive of me just up and leaving. So I definitely make a certain amount of money doing what I do, and I definitely have afforded myself a certain lifestyle from doing that. So if I was to take on a position in the guitar or music industry full time, it would have to be something where it's a little bit more set in stone, a little bit more stable, and it's around about the same amount of money coming in. Something like that is a little bit difficult to come by. Not that I've really searched too hard for it, and I'm very, very open for opportunities, but it's something where there's a lot of stuff that needs to be discussed. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be gone over. But man, I would love to make music my full-time thing, to be honest. Here's my question. You say that you don't care about a guitar's clean tone, but isn't the clean tone the basis for the distorted tone? Also, every metal band has clean or acoustic parts still. As far as like clean guitar parts, it's just the kind of thing where I just don't feel like writing that usually. I don't really feel like putting that in a lot of the music I write. I know that some of that crept into the Voided EP that I did, but I like the brutes. I like the heavy shit. I like the fucking chunky power chord riffage, I'm not really into the clean tones, to be honest. And though the distorted tones might be kind of based off of that stuff, I'd rather just plug in a guitar and get a fucking killer heavy distorted tone right off the bat and not worry about a clean tone. If I am going to get a clean tone out of something, if I'm going to worry about having something that's a little bit more crystalline and clear and distortion less, then usually what I just do is I just roll down the volume. It's still a distorted tone, but to me I feel like it's a little bit more organic than just switching to a clean channel on an amp. So, I don't know. I know I'm in the minority with this, but I just don't give a shit about cleans for the most part. Normally when I'm writing a clean part in a song that I'm doing, I just slap something together, run it through like Easy Mix or something, or some other VST, and just kind of call it good. Don't mean to make it sound like I'm half-assing it, but I'm half-assing it. Did you ever find a set of bare-knuckle pickups that you jived with? I still think they're way overrated, but a lot of people like them. So I am definitely still of a certain opinion when it comes to bare knuckles. It's not necessarily my thing. I like the fact that they are super duper articulate, but I like something with a little bit ballsier of a tone right from the moment you play the first chord. Now, what I will say is after playing a few more guitars that have had bare knuckles, I definitely see a great benefit to having a guitar with bare knuckles in them, and that is the fact that they are so goddamn articulate that if you're like myself that likes to record 4, 6, however many guitar parts and just layer and layer and layer, then it's awesome for that, because as long as you can keep the parts tight, it makes a massive wall of sound when you blend everything together. Now, to answer your question though, have I ever found a set that I jived with? The last bare knuckle set that I played that I had any sort of time with was the Ragnaroks. And I actually really like those because to me, that literally solved the problem that I have found with so many other bare knuckles, is that there was a big heaping amount of tone on tap with those pickups. In the particular guitar that I played them in, to me, I thought they kind of had a sort of DiMarzio Blaze-like quality, but I know a few people are definitely in disagreement with me on that, but I'm just telling you what my ears heard, and because of that, I really, really dug it. I kind of got a lot of old school death metal tone out of it, and I loved them. Since you're so critical of guitars in your reviews, what would your dream build or setup look like? It's one of those things where there's not a single guitar out there that does absolutely everything that I want a guitar to do. So to me, that's part of the fun, is just buying up so much different stuff and having different tools at your disposal in order to achieve like certain tones, certain feels, certain vibes for when you're recording or performing. I mean, like, I've spec'd out a bunch of custom builds in the past, and they've all done exactly what I want them to do, whether it be an 8-string multi-scale, whether it be the 9-string that I've got coming up with the super long scale lengths, whether it be something more traditional that is just kind of like a hot rodded traditional, like that Framus master build that I've got. Whether it be the 7-string Reaver that I have on the way from Alan in Scotland, you know. Whether it be, honestly, a few other things that I have burning a hole in my brain, like I really want to get a Lux Tone, that's definitely on my list, and that is going to be super hot rodded Strat, Floyd Rose, humbuckers, reverse headstock, etc. But there's not really a specific spec sheet or build that I'm thinking would be like my dream setup, because every time I purchase an instrument with the idea of keeping it, I'm really trying to purchase an instrument that is going to satisfy a ton of different needs for me, so that I can't help but keep it, you know. So I don't know, I hope that answers your question. Awesome job, man. I love these. I do have a question. I've been a 6-string player for about 20 years. In the past 6 months, I've picked up 2 7-strings. I'm having a lot of trouble making the transition. What's your advice? If there's artists that you know that you love that use 7-strings, I would suggest trying to learn some of their songs so that you kind of get in that same sort of headspace a little bit. But at the same time, it's perfectly okay to say, you know what, 7-string ain't for me, you know? I mean, I've got a 7-string that I like playing now. I've got another custom 7-string that's on order now. But 7-string isn't typically my thing. I like 6s and I like 8s. And beyond that, it's kind of, you know, tough to really get into the odd number extended range instruments. So I'm always willing to try. I'm always willing to just kind of sit here and plug away at it and jam on something and hope something clicks. But that would be my advice, man. Learn some songs from your favorite artists and hope. Have you tested the Solar E-Type yet? Even if not, what's your favorite Solar guitar type? So I have tested the E-Type. I actually had one of the E2.6s, and I was going to do a video on it, but it was one of those things where I didn't necessarily jive with it because of the scale length. I know that I sometimes say that, you know, scale length doesn't matter so much to me, and, you know, part of the fun is being able to just kind of get acclimated quickly to several different instruments. But something about that guitar just seemed off to me, having a 24 3/4 inch scale on that guitar. You know, it's something where the other Solars that I've played that have had 25.5 inch have all played just better to me. You know, I might be crazy. I mean, it's just 3/4 inch difference. Can it really matter that much? Something about it, something about the string tension, I swear I felt a difference when playing it. So because of that, I ended up getting rid of that instrument, and I ended up getting my S1.6, and I'm very, very happy with that. Now, that being said, as far as aesthetic wise, the E-Type is definitely my favorite Solar. And when Ola does put out an E-Type that has a 25.5 inch scale, I'm going to be first in line to get one of those guitars, because I really want a Solar E-Type, but I just got to have that 25.5 inch scale on a Solar. I have to have it. It's a thrash machine, and to me, that's the scale length that I get the best results with on a Solar. And now it's time for this week's Although this isn't necessarily so much a troll. This is kind of a funny little comment. So, but, you know, it is what it is. I thought we would take a little bit of a deviation from the assholes and just do a kind of a fun little comment. So, Simon writes, long hair or short hair? Pick and commit, LOL. No problem. Here's my decision. My hair. So that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another iFAQ video, this time from a different angle, moving this camera and the mic over to the opposite side of the studio room, just to try something a little bit different. So yeah, I really love doing these. I think that it's a very fun medium where I get to sort of entertain my narcissism a little bit. Thank you guys for your questions. Hit that subscribe button, like this video. There's lots more metal guitar oriented content to come.